The entire WTA is stunned by the explosion of a billion-dollar brand war around Alex Eala. No one anticipated that the match between three of the biggest names in tennis equipment would become a public struggle that would rock the entire sport. Even though she is just 20 years old, the events that took place behind closed doors, the emails that were leaked, the abrupt contract terminations, and the commotion on social media, made her the focal point of the most contentious sponsorship battle in women's tennis history. One choice, three giants, and an unexpected fallout. This was not where Alex Eala was meant to be. Not with this much strength, not so quickly. 3 years ago, she was a teenage Filipino prospect who was barely making news outside of her native country while competing in ITF tournaments in modest European towns. However, in between her 2022 something changed after she won the S. Open Junior Championship and shot up the WTA rankings in 2024 and 2025. Agents surrounded, scouts took notice, and the biggest tennis brands began to pay attention. Eala broke into the top 50 by the beginning of 2026. She was now a phenomenon rather than just another potential. A Grand Slam junior winner with a brave baseline game, a huge fan base throughout Southeast Asia, and an inspiring tale for marketers, the underdog who persevered. The timing of her ascent was ideal. In Asia, women's tennis was in dire need of new players. Naomi Osaka had taken a step back. Zhang Qianwen has already secured significant sponsorships from China. Eala. The key to success was her. Young, personable, hungry, and spoke for more than 110 million Filipinos who had never had a tennis star of their own. She has been with Nike since she was 16. Just enough to keep her in running shoes and swooshes, nothing ostentatious. Her rackets were provided by Babolat, a standard equipment relationship that most players her age would kill for. It was secure and stable. However, billion-dollar aspirations are not sold by stability. Whispers began to circulate behind the scenes. Wilson wanted in, and they wanted to make a statement rather than engage in a low-key collaboration. They wanted Alex Eala to be the face of their next-generation racket line and the focal point of a billion-dollar campaign aimed at Asia-Pacific markets. It appeared to be routine at first. Players gain, brands compete, and everyone wins. However, this was not going to be typical. There was going to be war. Unbeknownst to her, Alex Eala was poised to emerge as the most valuable and contentious asset in women's tennis. What happens if a 20-year-old who didn't ask to play a billion-dollar game ends up winning? The bidding war was about to start, and things would quickly become ugly. It began in boardrooms, silent, cunning, and brutal. January of 2026. The first bid went to Alex Eala's agent. One of the most recognizable companies in the sport, Wilson Tennis, had developed a plan that would alter everything. $8 million spread over 4 years, complete equipment sponsorship, the sole right to use her picture in marketing campaigns throughout Asia-Pacific, and this is the best part. A personal investment fund intended to establish tennis academies under her name in the Philippines. This was a legacy offer, not merely a sponsorship. Wilson did, however, make one crucial demand: exclusivity. Eala would have to quit Babolat right away if she signed. No grace period, no two-way relationships. Wilson was the only option. Her agent was aware that this would be an issue. Babolat had shown loyalty. When she was not in the top 200, they had stood by her. They had treated her like family, given her personalized rackets, and flown her to their facilities in France. Leaving would feel like betrayal rather than just business. Nevertheless, $8 million is still $8 million. Word spread. It always does. The executives of Babolat were on the phone with the A-list crew within 48 hours. They had a very obvious message. We have made an investment in you. We had faith in you. We will lose face in the Asian market in addition to losing a player if you depart for Wilson. They offered a counteroffer in addition to an emotional appeal. In addition to stock and Babolat's impending Asian growth, $6 million over a 3-year period. They offered something Wilson couldn't, but they couldn't equal Wilson's financial resources. Heritage, devotion, and the assurance that she will be the region's top athlete. Nike then joined the conversation. Up until now, Nike had kept quiet. They had thought their bond with Eala was strong. However, they recognized they were about to lose one of the fastest developing talents in women's tennis when they learned of Wilson's offer and Babolat's counter. How did they react? hostile. In addition to money, Nike offered relationships with their top players, including Serena Williams, Rafael Nadal, and LeBron James, worldwide dominance, lifetime royalties on signature clothing, and co-branded footwear lines. They portrayed Eala as a cultural icon rather than a tennis player. According to reports, the offer was the highest endorsement contract ever given to a Filipino athlete, costing $12 million over 5 years. However, there was a catch. For rackets, Nike wanted her to remain with Babolat. The equipment conflict didn't concern them. They desired cultural capital, lifestyle rights, and clothing rights. Nike would walk if she signed with Wilson. All of a sudden, Alex Eala was not picking brands. She had to decide between two futures. Wilson, the creator of legacy. Nike, the worldwide conglomerate. Babolat, the devoted ally. What's the worst part? The leaks were deliberate, slow leaks. There was a conversation. One difficult option, $3 billion behemoths. And then the leak that would cause this private negotiation to explode in the public eye. February 4, 2026. A screenshot was shared on Twitter by a Tennis Insider account. It was a private email intended solely for internal inspection. Eala sponsorship, final offer breakdown was the subject line. Wilson's $8 million offer was described in detail in the email, line by line. A yearly retainer, image rights, academy funding, performance incentives, signing bonuses, and more. It received 50,000 retweets in under 1 hour. Babolat's counteroffer was revealed within 3 hours, followed by Nike's. All tennis blogs, forums, and social media sites were reporting on the bidding war, which was meant to remain behind closed doors. Every number was analyzed by fans. Which brand made the best decision was up for dispute among analysts. Alex Eala, too. She remained silent. Silence, however, was no longer an option. The pride of the Filipino tennis community burst. One widely shared post said, "Our girl is worth millions." However, pride soon gave way to pressure. Fans began to insist that she choose the appropriate brand. Wilson, according to some, due of the academy investment. Others said Nike because its global reach increased Filipino athletes' visibility. A smaller group, referred to be Babolat's true followers, stood up for her when no one else did. Additionally, the brands were not remaining silent. A mysterious statement was posted on Wilson's official account. Certain alliances are made to last. Others are designed to matter. Everyone knew who they were referring to, even though it was subtle. Babolat retaliated by releasing a highlight clip of Eala's greatest moments, all of which included their rackets. What about the caption? "Champions don't waver." Nothing was posted by Nike. They didn't have to. Their athletes took care of it. A picture of herself and Eala at a Nike event was retweeted by Naomi Osaka, who said, "Family first." It was oppressive pressure. Then the most damning document to date was leaked. Executives at Babolat communicated internally about a backup plan in case Eala left. Babolat had already started contacting other Filipino players as possible replacements, according to the communications. Fans of Alice were incensed. One post stated that they are replacing her before she even makes a decision. The story changed. Once viewed as the devoted underdog, Babolat now appeared opportunistic. Both the WTA and other players remained mute. This was now more important than tennis. This has to do with control, money, and power. A 20-year-old girl who simply wanted to play the sport she loved was at the center of it all. A business transaction became a battleground due to the leaks. The worst part, though, the conflict has only barely begun. Nuance is beyond the capabilities of the Internet. Nuance was the first casualty of the Alex Eala sponsorship dispute when it became public. Twitter turned into a battlefield. In the Philippines, Southeast Asia, and even the United States, hashtags such as Team Wilson, Team Babolat, and Team Nike began to gain popularity. The tennis community. Arguments became personal, fan accounts produced surveys, and memes flooded timelines. Wilson Saviors were a group that offered to construct academies in the Philippines. One popular thread claimed that this goes beyond tennis. Giving back to the next generation is the goal here. Alex is abandoning Filipino children who aspire to play tennis if she does not select Wilson. That story struck a chord, but it also backfired. Some supporters retaliated. One message stated that she owes no one anything. She is 20 years old. Give her the freedom to choose without pressuring her to repay. On the other hand, Nike supporters presented the choice as obvious. One tweet said that Wilson couldn't match Nike's worldwide reach. Alex has just one option if he wants to become a global icon. However, the loudest fans were Babolat. They found earlier interviews in which Eala thanked Babolat for having early faith in her. They posted pictures of her competing tennis junior competitions while wielding Babolat rackets. They presented the choice as a test of loyalty. When Babolat signed her, she was a nobody. Will she depart now that she's famous? We don't know that, Alex. The brands contributed to the mayhem. With the caption, "Imagine what's possible," Wilson shared a video montage of young Filipino athletes practicing on temporary courts. It was sentimental. It was deceptive. It was successful. Babolat responded with their own video, which showed engineers and designers discussing how much they believed in Eila's potential while providing a behind-the-scenes glimpse at the creation of her unique racket. The message was quite clear: we invested in you, not merely sponsored you. Nike maintained their distance from the conflict, but their quiet was calculated. Their legacy speaks for itself. You don't have to beg when you're Nike, you just have to wait. But fans weren't the end of the poison. Journalists covering tennis began to be made public. Those emails weren't leaked by me. I didn't want this to become a show. However, here we are. This is what I am aware of. I adore playing tennis. I adore my nation. I adore those who have stood by me. Whatever I decide, it will be my decision. Not Wilson's, Nike's, Babolat's, or the Internet's. When I'm ready, I'll decide. I'm pleading with everyone to just let me breathe until then. The post instantly became viral. In the first hour, there were almost 1 million likes. Comments poured in, some encouraging, some negative, and some still attempting to influence her choice. However, the brands, they fell silent. Their Imagine What's Possible video was removed by Wilson. Babolat conducted a loyalty program survey. Nike athletes ceased to post. Everyone became aware that they had gone too far for the first time since the battle started. This was no longer a game. This was the life of a young lady. Everything was altered by her words. However, the issue of what she would pick persisted. Would it be accepted by fans or brands? February 12, 2026. Quietly, the announcement was made. No major revelation, no press conference. Just a statement from the management group at Eala. Alex Eala has inked contracts with Wilson for equipment and Nike for clothing. Babolat had left. Nobody anticipated the way the deal was structured. Wilson gained the equipment relationship and the promise to construct tennis academies in the Philippines. Nike received the worldwide marketing rights, and Babolat received a secret settlement that was said to contain a buyout provision and a public thank you from Eala. Reactions on the internet were not all the same. Fans of Nike rejoiced. According to one tweet, she made the right decision. The combination of grassroots influence and global reach is ideal. Supporters of Babolat felt deceived. She leaves after all that they have done for her. According to one post, nowadays, loyalty is meaningless. Wilson supporters were ecstatic. The academies are taking place. This goes beyond tennis. However, other WTA players' responses were the most intriguing. Serena Williams wrote, "Alex, I'm proud of you for your decision. The pressure you handled this week would have broken most people," tweeted Naomi Osaka. "You don't realize how strong you are." Ayala's ability to make her own decisions free from public pressure was defended by players who weren't sponsored by Wilson or Nike. In the meantime, the brands acted swiftly to take charge of the story. The next chapter, a stylish Nike marketing video, shows Eala striking with Wilson rackets while practicing in Manila while sporting the swoosh. It had been polished. It was strong. It was everything that the previous 2 weeks' pandemonium wasn't. Wilson revealed the groundbreaking for the first academy location, Quezon City, Philippines, which is scheduled for June 2026. Eala was positioned as both a co-founder and a sponsored athlete. Babolat. They maintained their elegance. A public statement wished Eala prosperity and expressed gratitude for their years of collaboration. No drama, no resentment, simply grace. However, the true question was not who prevailed in the bidding battle, but rather what this event represented for women's tennis going forward. Because this was about more than simply Alex Eala, it was about how companies handle young athletes, how public pressure affects personal choices, and how social media transforms corporate transactions into moral debates. Alex Eala established a precedent in addition to signing a contract. She demonstrated how young athletes can take charge of their own stories, resist pressure, and make difficult, complicated choices without being demonized for them. However, she also revealed the negative aspects of contemporary sports marketing, including the manipulation, leaks, and weaponization of allegiance. On the subject, the WTA has said nothing. Everyone is aware that something changed, even though no policies or rules were breached. Alex Eala will come to mind the next time a young celebrity finds themselves embroiled in a bidding war. They'll recall the brutality of it. And perhaps, just possibly, they may approach it in a new way. Eala is back on the court, practicing, competing, and concentrating on what really matters, winning. However, the question remains in every tennis locker room, boardroom, and fan forum worldwide. Was this only a contest between companies, or was it the start of a new era in which sportsmen are at last in control? Alex Eala stunned the whole WTA by refusing to be a pawn in someone else's game rather than by her skill or status. She passed through the fire and emerged stronger as the billion-dollar brand battle erupted all around her. This is a warning, but it's also her tale. Athletes are not products to the brands. Pressure does not equate to support for the supporters. You have power over your career, players. Alex Eala just shown how the game has evolved.